My first question goes out to Andrew K P Leung from Hong Kong tonight. I mean, this is clearly a sign of China becoming more and more insecure. But is there any evidence at all, Dr. Leung, that China has of any Indian interference or support that is leading to the outrage among the Tibetan community in China?
Well, I think that this is very clear that China has never trusted the Dalai Lama, in spite of what His Holiness was saying about supporting the fact that Tibet is part of China. But China believes that what the Dalai Lama says may be very different from what is condoning, behind the scenes, as it were, if not directly supporting some of the separatist movements or forces within the Dalai Lama's camp. But there's also a fact that China's increasing or promoting the economic development of Tibet, trying to link Tibet with the rest of the economy of China. This, of course, has increased the standards of living of the Tibetan people. However, the Tibetan people are not entirely satisfied with that, because along with the economic development comes a huge influx of the Han Chinese into Tibetan society and the community. And the Han Chinese businessmen, of course, they can outsmart the Tibetan people. And also the Tibetan people feel that the Tibetan culture and Tibetan religion are not sufficiently respected, even though that the Chinese government has almost bent backwards to restore and preserve the Tibetan culture.
No, why blame
so I think
India?
that this is a dilemma for China.
No, why blame the Dalai Lama? Why blame India?
Well, of course, because the Dalai Lama has already is in exile in India, and in an area which is very, very sensitive to China. Don't forget that is an area where China has territorial disputes with India, and so that's a very sensitive.
Which area? No, I don't think so. The Dalai Lama operates out of McLeodganj, where our other panelists is from tonight.
No,
and China cannot even dream of having any territorial ambitions in Himachal Pradesh.
What I'm trying to say is the Dalai Lama's presence, in fact, extends into areas of territorial disputes with China, and also the Dalai Lama claims in his formula for more autonomy within the Chinese sovereignty. The Dalai Lama's formula covers not only Tibet province itself, but other provinces amounting to a third of China.
No,
so
but
that cuts into
this whole argument. I need to have a firm response tonight from Tenzin Tsundue, because I want to tell you this is what has been said, and I quote that piece, which is an official piece, and in China this is official media, which means it has official government sanction, and it says that behind the mastermind, behind the self-immolations, the instigation by some overseas organizations, press and media organization, the quote-unquote living Buddha, and politicians also played a part. That is exactly the allegation which has been put out. Tenzin, how are people reacting to this?
Well,
where you are? Tenzin, from McLeodganj.
Well, Arnab, at the moment, Tibetans inside and outside, we are very angry with the way the Chinese government is dealing with the issues of freedom in Tibet. The people in Tibet, they demand freedom. They demand His Holiness the Dalai Lama to return to Tibet. And these are legitimate concerns of the people in Tibet. And instead of listening to their concern, instead of hearing their aspirations, the Chinese government bring down so much of military and armed riot police into Tibet and clamp down. And because of this clamp down in Tibet, this is the one that is suffocating the lives of people in Tibet, and this is pushing the Tibetans to self-immolations. These acts of self-immolations are desperate call of the people in Tibet for freedom and for the return of His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
No, but the Dalai Lama,
these are legitimate concerns.
Tenzin, the Dalai Lama says he doesn't condone self-immolations, but he doesn't really come out openly and condemn it. He says the Chinese government should ask itself why the self-immolations are happening. Given how much Tibetans revere and respect his views, shouldn't he vociferously dissuade Tibetans from such a form of protest?
If there is any need of change, it should be the Chinese government who should change their rules, who should change their draconian rule in Tibet. They should be the one who should scale down the military. At least withdraw the part of military and bring down some space for people to breathe and move about. Then these self-immolations will automatically stop. You don't have to tell people to stop. And you can't tell a woman who is resisting rape, you can't tell the woman not to fight. So people are angry, people are so suffocated there, therefore they are resorting to self-immolations. We have to see how they are resisting. So it is the Chinese government who should scale down the military. And naturally there will be some space for
Andrew, you're not letting the Tibetans breathe. You have put all your army and paramilitary troops there. You've imposed blockades on monasteries. You've cut off food and water, I am told, for several weeks to monasteries, leading to the deaths of local people. And then when you have a situation go out of control, then you point a finger at India. Andrew, is that right?
Well, I think that there is Tibet has a long history of social unrest, ethnic unrest, the unhappiness of the Tibetan people under the form of the Chinese rule. But in spite of the fact that the Chinese government is bringing huge economic development and the standard of living in Tibet. So I think that this is a real challenge for the Chinese authorities. And that's why in recent months, as it were, the Chinese government is trying to, maintain social order, but also trying to, as it were, put out more people, the army or other Chinese personnel to gauge the kind of sentiments of the Tibetan people and to develop some more responsible policies to stabilize the situation.
Andrew, the problem in Sichuan, the problem in Tibet is not happening now. It is all now, the way we are looking at it here in India, is that after the East Asia Summit, where finally India had the courage to stand up and tell China that we are not going to stop our commercial exploitation of the South China Sea, suddenly China, unable to handle an assertive India, has started finger pointing at Dalai Lama wherever he goes. If he attends a conference, China has a problem. If he were to make a statement, they have a problem. If he doesn't say anything, they have a problem. So is China looking for a fight? I'm asking you very simply, is China itching for a fight with India because of the South China Sea issue? And is Dalai Lama only an excuse, Andrew? Only an excuse?
Well, I don't really think so, because I think that South China Sea, the territorial disputes are very, very different. As you say, I mean, the Dalai Lama is not really himself directly in that disputed province, although his influence extends beyond that. Now, I think the two issues are not necessarily related. But even though both, of course, issues involve India, but it doesn't mean that both issues are regarded by China as a way to confront India. Well, let's look at it. I mean, what benefit would China get by confronting India? Except
but it's doing so every day.
It involves territorial disputes. And also the unsettling impact of the Tibetan situation. I don't think that it's directly aimed at India. It is aimed at preserving China's territorial integrity in the South China Sea, but also in maintaining the stability of the Tibetan province.
Yeah, but it's not. But China also has to grow up and accept, the points of view of other people, not just the Tibetans, but of other governments. My last question is to Tenzin Tsundue. Yes, Tenzin, you wanted to come in.
Yeah.
That, yes, you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Arnab, listen. The whole problem about here, when China is blaming His Holiness the Dalai Lama, when China is blaming India, it is their colonial attitude where they say that they are in control of the occupied countries like Tibet, East Turkestan, Southern Mongolia, and also the whole population of China under this capitalist government run in the name of communism, this is the one where they see that they think they are in control. And when they are not in control, when they are losing control, because of their paranoia, they have to blame somebody else. And when people in Tibet are dying, when they are setting themselves on fire, they cannot understand that these people have a mind on their own, that they are angry, they can be angry. So they have to necessitate, have to have a blame. So they say that there is a Dalai Lama who is doing that. They are saying that it is India who is hosting the exiled government. Actually, they are not understanding, they are not accepting the ground reality that people in Tibet are suffocated because of their draconian rule. They have cut all military. They have cut all the state media.
Yes.
People cannot travel freely.
Yes. And
people in Tibet are controlled. And because of that, they are pushing the people through that. And that kind of protest is happening not just in Tibet, even in China.
Yeah,
even in China, the Chinese government is losing control.
Yeah, we believe that this is the voice which needs to go out to the people of China. I don't know. Of course, they can, I don't know, maybe they can access Times Now on the internet. And this is the voice that needs to go across to China. Maybe we'll call the Dalai Lama as well, so that his voice also reaches out to the people of China. Andrew K P Leung at this late hour for joining us from our studios in Hong Kong. And Tenzin from McLeodganj. Thank you very, very much.